Welcome to the Tea Time Podcast, where it's all about taking a few healthy minutes each day just for you, with your host, Sharissa Bradley.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode for the Tea Time Podcast. My name is Sharissa Bradley, and I am so excited that you're here. We are continuing our Journey Back to Health series. We are on chapter 8, and we are talking about why knowing is not enough. Some of you may know this about me already, but when I was in graduate school getting my master's degree in psychology, I was required to write a thesis. And during that thesis process, I was able to study adults and children, adults ages 18 to 25 and children ages 3 to 6 years old. And I asked them questions about their health, and I asked children to sort images into piles of good for me and not good for me and just neutral or okay for me. And I actually tested adults on their knowledge around food and what is better for us and what isn't good for us at all. And my question behind that was, why do we know what to do for us and know what to do for ourselves, for our health and our bodies, but our actions do not show that at all? We have increasingly high numbers of diabetes and obesity and heart disease in both men and women of all ages. These numbers are increasing at staggering rates. Yet the education and the knowledge has never been more accessible. We can, at a moment's notice, check and ask, what is the best thing for me and my age and my height and my weight, and how should I be eating and how should I be sleeping and how much exercise should I be getting? No longer are we living in a system where we have to go to a doctor's appointment or have gatekeeping restrict us from understanding how to take care of our bodies. There is no shortage of information. If you are here, maybe you've even read my book about health. So why is it that when we know what it is that we should do for our bodies, we still can't exactly take action? The fact is that knowing what to do is actually not enough. We need tools and structure and habits that help to create and dictate a path for us to feel our best, look our best, and have the most amount of energy that we possibly can. Just knowing what to do is not going to help. Just having the Pinterest board full of recipes is not going to make us healthy and strong. We actually have to take aligned action towards our goals in order for knowing to even make sense at all, because otherwise we're just kind of going against ourselves. Now, if this is your experience, you are not alone. In grad school, when I was doing my research as an undergraduate and as a graduate, studying people of all ages from as young as 3 years old, we all struggle with this same problem where we know what to do for ourselves, and yet we struggle to take action to do it. Well, why? This goes back to the brain being resistant to change in chapter 4, and we learned that the brain has these systems for maximizing its energy so that we can get through a 24-hour day, so that we can remember our children's names and where we put our bags. We actually need as much energy in our brain as possible just to maintain our daily tasks. So it's not that you're incapable of making changes. It's not that I'm incapable of making changes or making new habits. What often ends up happening is that we set these goals for ourselves that are so lofty and so big and so outside of the realm of possibility that it makes it almost impossible to ever become the version of ourselves that we want to be. And we can know as much as we want, but actually taking action, physical, aligned action with our goals is one of the most challenging things that we can do. Why? Well, the brain doesn't want to change. The brain doesn't want to take that action because it knows it's going to require immense amounts of energy. So when we set goals for ourselves, like 3, 4, 5 goals in a row, and what I mean by this is On Monday, when I wake up, I'm only going to eat the Whole30 and I'm going to work out and I'm not going to drink coffee. Do you know that that is actually like 50 habits in one? Because if you're specifically going to a new diet, that in it of itself is multiple habits. Doing an exercise routine is also multiple habits, not just one. You have to physically carve out the time. You have to know what you're going to spend that time on. And then you actually have to physically do it, show up and do it. And that's wearing the clothes, putting on the shoes, playing the video, or going to that gym class that you've been thinking about. It isn't just knowing that it exists that's going to help us. But when we set these massive goals for ourselves, like the gym, the diet, the exercise, the sleep, all in one day, it's so impossible that the brain just immediately gives up. This is self-fulfilling prophecy. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to do this. So I'm going to set up all these positions for myself that will ultimately fail so that I can say, like, see, it was never even possible to begin with. What we have to do in order to actually take action on our goals is to break it down into the smallest achievable step that we can take right now. So for instance, if Monday morning is coming around and you are going to start a new exercise routine that day, put in place a few things to help yourself. First of all, what are you going to do on that exercise routine? For me, I'll tell you, I do YouTube videos because I need to take breaks in between my work sitting at my desk, and I need like a little 20-minute something that can help me to get sweaty and help me to feel like I've done a little bit of exercise. But I don't really have the time and the space in my schedule to put on the workout clothes, drive to the gym, and take a class, because ultimately in my life, that takes about 3 hours to do. If I'm trying to get myself ready, go to a class, and then come home, that whole process is so extensive that it really doesn't fit into my lifestyle at all. The only way that I can guarantee that I'm going to get a physical activity throughout the day is to have a few people on YouTube that I follow, have picked out a video for the day, and then I just wear whatever clothes that I can actually move around in without having to think too much about it. I have a little post-it note sitting on my computer that tells me, get that workout in, because I am trying to set myself up to succeed. And I know that my brain is going to be resistant to these actions. It's not going to want to fit it in. So we have to break it down into these teeny, teeny, tiny little action steps that make it almost impossible not to follow through. Well, I can definitely do this 20-minute break in between clients and it will help boost my energy and make me feel better. I can fit that in. So knowing about what we want to do is not enough. How can you this week take a very teeny tiny little baby step action towards a new habit you're trying to build? Maybe it's a food goal like me, trying to consistently eat 3 meals a day without having nausea. Or maybe you're trying to build in an exercise routine or a reading habit or a journaling habit. How can you set yourself up to succeed? Plan for it so that when the moment comes, you're not scrambling around, and then make it so simple to fit into your schedule that it would almost seem silly not to do it if you knew that it was going to progress you on your path. So this chapter 8, it's a teeny tiny little chapter on why knowing is not enough. And the only action step for this is just to share with somebody what you've learned. When we start sharing the information that we know, it also gives us this little added bonus or benefit of giving us that accountability. If I learned something new today and I share that with a friend, that friend now knows that I know that information. And if I take action on it, that's where that accountability is going to come in. Share this information with your friends. Share that you're on a journey. Share that you could use accountability and that you're working on new habits and new goals, because the best place to bring community in is when we can cheerlead for each other, when we can help each other on our paths, and we can get out of the Pinterest board and into the kitchen. I hope this helps. I hope you're having a wonderful week, and I will see you all for another episode next week. Bye.
Thank you for spending your tea time with us. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.